today. While a lot of people talk about Islam Makhachev this Saturday or Merab this Saturday, there's one man that I got my eye on, and his name is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Can he in one night become a historic coach as he coaches his pupil to retain his championship and another one to win a championship? Also, what about Jamal Hill? Can he silence all of the internet backlash, all of the Instagram and Twitter hate as he goes out there and defeats Yuri? Plus, what about Kevin Holland? Can Holland overcome his demons of constantly being taken down and submitted? Can he do it? Will it happen? I don't know. All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy Matt. Here, me and my guy, Samuel L. Jackson, Pope Fiction, holla at me. We out here, Ravens Hat. We out here doing our thing. And we are finally here at UFC 311. It goes down this Saturday, in which in the main event, hold on, let me find out where it goes down at. Where does the fight take place at? Where in the main event, we are going to see Islam Makhachev step in the octagon to make the attempt to defend his lightweight championship at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California. Inglewood, always up to no good, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, Islam Makhachev steps in the octagon and makes the attempt to defend his championship against a man he has already defeated once before, but early on in their UFC career, Arman Tsarukyan. Let's start out with that fight. So, let's just get down to it. Let's just get down to something that both men excel at. Before I start with this breakdown, I will say, please guys, if you have thoughts on this main event and on this co-main event, I kind of feel like I got the main event bodied. But if you have comments on the co-main event about who you think is going to win between Merab and Umar, please share them down in the comments, because your boy is betting on DraftKings and I want to make some sound, solid decisions. You know what I'm saying? So lend me your advice for making my bets on DraftKings. DraftKings, holla at me. We trying to get this money. Holla at me. Let me know. Anyway, Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. Let's just start out real quick. The intangibles about both men. Both men are good wrestlers, okay? You have Supreme Dagestani Wrestling against Arman Tsarukyan, all right? Arman Tsarukyan Wrestling, let's just call it that. We're talking about both men are comparable on the feet, but from what I've seen, Islam Makhachev, I believe, gets the edge on the feet because, I mean, this man, he's a little bit different from Khabib, you know what I'm saying? This man, he can actually strike, you know what I'm saying? He can actually strike. Great head kicks, well-timed head kicks, great punches, but I really think, strangely enough, what is more in Islam's corner are his kicks rather than his striking being his punches. Arman Tsarukyan ain't no slouch in the kicking department either, but both men are very tenacious. Both men are out here really paving the way for their country, paving the way for their brand, their style of mixed martial arts, right? With that also being said, I believe what it's really going to boil down to is what I talked about early at the beginning of my video, and that is only one of these men has coached Khabib Nurmagomedov, and that man is Islam Makhachev. And I think that more so than Khabib's advice in the corner, more so than Khabib's game plan in the corner, which I think both will be very intuitive in this fight. If you're Islam Makhachev, You're not trying to go out there in front of your family member, your cousin, also your coach, keeping up, father's plan. That pushes a man, that's an extra incentive as to not let down Coach Khabib Nurmagomedov on the grand stage in the main event of UFC 311. I think that will push a man. I think that will propel a man to do things that he wouldn't normally do. But at the end of the day, I feel like what's really going to lose our mind this fight, and no secret, I am picking Islam Makhachev to win this fight, is it boils down to, I believe Tsarukyan is really out here with something to prove. And it's really driving the man. And I think he really wants to prove. That loss to Makhachev early in their career wasn't a fluke, but he just wasn't a developed enough mixed martial artist at that time to defeat Makhachev. And I feel like this has propelled Tsarukyan in every one of his fights since taking that loss. And when you look at his track record, he's beaten quite a few guys that were good. I wouldn't necessarily say that his track record is as good as Makhachev's since Makhachev has won the belt. One could say that Makhachev has been fighting featherweights, being Volk has been two of his title defenses. But with that being said, though, I believe Arman Tsarukyan has a point to prove. I feel like he feels that fight was premature in his mixed martial arts career. He's a much better mixed martial artist. And aside from his loss to Gamrot, he's really out here to prove something. And I think him going into this fight with so much weight on his shoulders to prove a point that fight was somewhat of a fluke and he wasn't ready yet, and now he's a much better mixed martial artist and he's ready to go out there and prove a point against Islam Makhachev. I believe that Tsarukyan has a fire in him. You know what I'm saying? This man is out here jumping people. You know what I'm saying? He's out here jumping people. You know what I'm saying? He jumped Bobby Green. You know what I'm talking about? This dude's a little bit off. And at times his spicy anger, you know what I'm saying, kind of causes this man to go out there and do things that you're kind of like, Tsarukyan, what are you doing, bro? If you had it, stick to father's plan and stop doing that. You know what I'm saying? If it was a Khabib fighter, it would be stick to father's plan. What are you doing? Islam Makhachev is not that dude. He's not going to stray from father's plan, or as it stands right now, rest in peace to Khabib's father. He's not going to stray away from Khabib's plan. Okay? A lot of the time you see these fighters and you're like, they got something to prove. That's the guy you want to put your money on. That's the guy that's going to go out there and win the fight. I think that's going to work against Arman Tsarukyan, because I believe he's going to be so eager. He's going to be so hell-bent, so dangerously in the octagon trying to prove that he is on the level of Makhachev or better, that he will make mistakes in which the calm, collected Islam Makhachev will capitalize on and will defeat him. Makhachev, every other day, there are reports coming out that Makhachev is close to retiring. He's already made more than enough money that he wanted to make in mixed martial arts. You got to understand, Dagestanis are not moved by money. You know what I'm saying? They're not money driven. They're not profit driven. You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about money profits, they're not doing that. That's not their goal is to prove that they are the best fighter in the world at that point in time. And that's the key part of my wording, because they determine when that point in time has passed. So Makhachev is already out here. He's already made a ton of money. He has more than enough, more than he needs to live comfortably for the rest of his life. And when you look at the landscape of lightweight, there's not many more out there for him to defeat. You know what I'm saying? There's not many more. He's already defeated Charles Oliveira. He's already beat Alexander Volkanovski twice, which I know Volk is a featherweight, but Volk is an all-time historic fighter. He's already beaten Dustin Poirier. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'm a huge El Diamante fan. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when you look at the landscape of lightweight, after he defeats Tsarukyan, there's not a lot of guys left that are going to keep Makhachev there at lightweight and to keep defending that championship, right? And you can really tell he's looking probably to move up to welterweight and challenge for that championship. And then after he wins that, he's probably not looking to defend that championship. He's probably looking to go ahead and move on right off into the sunset and possibly become a coach himself or just live a fruitful life assisting with AKA up-and-comers from Dagestan and just not really worrying about it. So what I'm telling you, I'm not saying that he's living high on the hog. I'm not saying he's wealthy to the point he's sleeping on satin sheets and silk sheets and he's not really worried about, fighting. Therefore, Tsarukyan can come in and capitalize on that. That's not what I'm saying. He's going to go out there. He's going to methodically take Tsarukyan apart. And Tsarukyan is going to have moments in this fight, but Makhachev is calm, collected. He has nothing to prove because, for the most part, he's already proved himself. You know what I'm saying? He's already regarded as the pound-for-pound best in mixed martial arts. Already. You know what I'm saying? Already. The argument is Jones, as in John Jones, then it's Islam Makhachev. You know what I'm saying? Then it's Coach Khabib, his coach. You know what I'm saying? And there's other people that are still currently fighting, but we're talking about, for the sake of this argument, we're talking about Islam Makhachev. You know what I'm saying? Bro, there's not a lot left to prove. So he's not going out here antsy, nervous, or worried about proving anything against Tsarukyan. He's already defeated Tsarukyan. He's going out here to go by Father's plan, to go by Coach Khabib's plan, and to go out there and win the fight and possibly move up to welterweight to challenge for that championship. But what I'm saying is, this is different from a lot of other fighters when I say he already has a foot out the door. But that doesn't mean he's going to slack on his responsibilities going into a fight. He's going to train to the fullest extent of his abilities and then some because he's training under Khabib. But when I say he's got a foot out the door, everything has been proven in his mind because there's not a lot left at 155. There's not a lot of guys that you could really see going out there and making it close. And Tsarukyan is the guy that's left that you're like, okay, Tsarukyan could make it close. But I don't even know if that's even really going to happen. And I'm not trying to, S all over Tsarukyan. I think he's still going to do his thing, and I think he's going to have moments. But Tsarukyan is going to make a lot of mistakes because I believe Tsarukyan is out here really trying to prove that he is on the level and better than Makhachev. He's going to slip up, he's going to make a mistake, and Makhachev is going to capitalize on it. In this fight, I don't know. Look, in this fight, if Makhachev finishes Tsarukyan, I see it being more toward the end of the fourth, midway through the fifth round. But more than likely, Makhachev is going to cruise and methodically take him apart, methodically impose his dominance over Tsarukyan, and beat him in a 5-round decision. So I got Islam Makhachev to go out there and get the win. Let's move on to the co-main event. The co-main event being Merab Dvalishvili going out there making the attempt to defend his bantamweight championship against my guy that I've been touting for months here is going to go out there and defeat Merab. Umar coming. Umar Nurmagomedov, the man from The Wire. Not really, but Umar coming. If you know the TV show The Wire, then you get the reference that I'm going for. Even though that guy was Omar, nevertheless, bro. Umar Nurmagomedov, the man that Merab has been trying to avoid fighting. He wants to keep trying to rematch people he's already defeated. Did everything he could to avoid this fight. Even acted like Umar didn't deserve the fight, which you're looking at the rest of bantamweight and you're like, who else does? You know what I'm saying? Bro, Umar Nurmagomedov, I believe, is going to go out there and defeat Merab. Because I believe, at the end of the day, Merab's best weapon that he has is his stamina. It's the fact that the fifth round, he's still, for the most part, full energy bar. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he's not the best in striking, right? I wouldn't say he has the absolute best wrestling in the division or in the weight class. What he weaponizes, and I'm not going to use that cliche thing that he weaponizes his cardio, but bro, that, I'm not making accusations, but that EPO level stamina that he possesses is his weapon against all these guys. A lot of the time, he doesn't finish a lot of opponents. He's not worried about finishing guys. He's willing to keep spamming takedowns, keep taking you down to the ground over and over and over again, and having these little pitter-pat shots on the ground. He doesn't have devastating ground and pound or anything like that. He's not getting ready to wobble you, knock you out on the feet. That's not his style. And Sarah Longo, they're not really looking to change Merab's style. And at the end of the day, this is a guy that Aljo hasn't fought yet. So they don't really have someone necessarily on that tip-top level from their camp. If they have a smaller person from their camp, that's a little bit different. But tip-top level of that Sarah Longo camp, they don't have anyone that's already faced Umar. So, bro, I'm not trying to diminish Merab, but Merab isn't elite in a lot of forms of mixed martial arts. But he just has that undeniable stamina. The man doesn't get tired. You know what I'm saying? He can go for days. He can go for 10 rounds if he has to. With that being said, and I'm not saying Umar possesses that, Umar has the Khabib Nurmagomedov factor in his corner, not wanting to let the man down, wanting to continue father's legacy, father's plan. But Umar is different than Khabib and Makhachev. Umar possesses a really elite skill set on the feet, in my opinion, as well as perfectly timed takedowns. Whereas Merab, he has good timing on his takedowns, but Merab is going to spam you over and over again with takedowns and eventually get you down to the ground because you're worn out. And as soon as you stand up, he takes you down again, and you're like, well, it's the end of the fourth round. Merab got to be getting tired. And then Dvalishvili is like, nah, I ain't tired. Takedown. Umar's a little bit different, and Umar can keep you at bay on the feet. He has a good jab. He's very good at teep kicks, his outstanding body kicks. You know what I'm saying? Spams in a few head kicks just when you think he's going to keep changing levels or keep going to the body. Bam! Head kick. You know what I'm saying? Merab, that's not... He doesn't... I'm not saying he can't do all of those. I know he's wobbled people in the past and knocked them down and all of this, but Merab's biggest advantage over a lot of opponents is that cardio, is that stamina. And I think Umar has the skills to pay the bills. I think Umar will be able to negate your stamina by the damage that he's going to do to you. Because if Umar gets you on the ground, Umar might move to try to submit you, but Umar throw in some sneaky, tricky elbows. You know what I'm saying? Umar will put that top pressure on you. Whereas Merab will just kind of level you out and hold you and use that Georgian dominance. You know what I'm saying? I got Umar Nurmagomedov to go out there, get the win, and become the new bantamweight champion of the world. That's just how I see it, man. I don't know if I don't think he's gonna finish Merab. You know, he might win by decision, but I could definitely see a world where after Merab keeps spamming these takedowns, and Umar isn't worried about it, and Umar is extremely good in scrambles. I think Merab is good at scrambling, but I don't think Merab is elite at scrambles because he doesn't have to scramble against a lot of guys, because most guys that he keeps taking down, they eventually wilt. And they're not willing to waste that energy or risk using up all their energy to keep scrambling with Merab. Umar scramble with you. And I think he's a better scrambler than Merab. I got Umar to go out there and get the win. Y'all let me know in the comments what you think about that. Let's move on. We have Yuri Prochazka stepping in the octagon with Jamal Hill. This is the fight. This, to me, is the people's main event. This is a fight I really want to see. I don't think it's going to last long. And this might be the unpopular pick, but I've got Jamal Hill to go out here and get the win. Because one thing that I peeped about Jamal Hill, he makes a lot of claims on the internet and on his YouTube channel that you're like, bro, what is this dude talking about? Horrible takes, horrible claims. But what I noticed about Jamal Hill when he was on Joe Rogan, and if you watch some of his YouTube videos, he's got a pretty good YouTube channel. Shout out to him. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make some weird takes, but overall, I like the dude. You know, he gets a little bit out of line. He's definitely gotten out of pocket plenty of times with Pereira. And if they ever fought again, I think Pereira would put him back in pocket. But the thing about Jamal Hill is Jamal Hill has a very analytical mind when it comes to mixed martial arts. And one day, maybe, when his mixed martial arts career is over, I could see him moving on to be a commentator. He breaks down fights very well. And he picks up a lot of things. And if you watch some of his content, you know, he has Kevin Holland on a lot. And they have like a group going on where they're like in the Blunt Brothers. You know what I'm saying? And he tells Kevin Holland a lot. The things that he says about Kevin Holland's fights, if Kevin Holland would adhere to what he's saying, he would win his fights. Jamal Hill is very good at breaking down fighters and figuring out things. And he's not a guy that's trying to go out there and be a flashy fighter. He has mastered the basics, and he's really good at the basics of mixed martial arts. And he stays right in his wheelhouse. In my opinion, that's how he beat Glover Teixeira. You know what I'm saying? He stays right in his wheelhouse. And so when I'm looking at this, I feel like he sees all the holes in Prochazka's game that Alex Pereira exploited, that Rakic was exploiting early on in that fight. And I think he's going to get Yuri Prochazka out of there early. I don't think this is going to go to the third round. I think he's going to get him out of there early, bro. I think Jamal Hill has his number because I believe that Yuri Prochazka, each time he takes an L, he comes back so fiery. And he has a point that he needs to prove. And I think he's, you know, coming off of that loss to Pereira, I think the dude has something he's trying to prove. And I think he's going to go out there and make a mistake. I think Jamal Hill knows, you know, Yuri gets out there, he's moving, bobbing, weaving with his hands down. But Jamal Hill's got hands. And I think he's going to time that awkward head movement that Prochazka has. Because I think Prochazka's head movement is not on an Anderson Silva level. You know what I'm saying? Anderson Silva had great head movement. And Anderson Silva would look calm and collected, like he wasn't even going to move his head when you took the shot. And when you swung at him, it was, wow, okay, you took the shot. And then wham, he's knocking you out. Prochazka is very, you know, his head movement is very much like that, but it's not fast enough in most instances, and that's why Pereira caught him. And I think Jamal Hill's going to catch him, bro. He's going to get him out of there. So I got Jamal Hill to go out there and get the win. Let's move on. We have Beneil Dariush, Big Dariush, stepping in the octagon with Renato Moicano. I got Money Moicano all day. I think, no disrespect to Dariush, but I think his goose is cooked. I think Dariush is on his way out the door. I think when you're a fighter like Dariush, you can't get as close as he got to a title shot, fumble the bag, and then recover from that. He's getting up in the years, you know what I'm saying? Meaning he's getting older. Dariush, you're going to look at his body. He was never the best athlete. He was never an athlete fighter that's really going to carry him into the later years, later stages of his career. And I think on the feet, Money Moicano pieces him up. You know what I'm saying? And I think if they go to the ground, which I know that is Dariush's bread and butter, I just think Money Moicano is a different type of grappler. Money Moicano has from childhood, all the way since childhood level grappling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I think Moicano is so calm in scrambles. He always remains calm. He always seems to know where his opponent is going to go and the next step when they're grappling. He's a calm grappler. He scrambles almost in slow motion, but it works because he's calm, he's collected. He knows what the next move is, what the next step is, and he's always a step ahead of his opponent. I think he's got Dariush fairly easily. I got Money Moicano to go out there and get the win. I think Moicano is in a different mental state when it comes to this game, mixed martial arts. I think Dariush is on his way out. He might be a little bit slightly broken. He might have a few drawbacks because he knows he should have been calling for that championship fight long before he did. He waited too long, and the UFC didn't care at that point. Threw you in there with my guy Charles Oliveira and got you up out of there. You know what I'm saying? So I think Money Moicano is in a different level. I don't think he's even worried about fighting for the championship. Money Moicano is making that money. You know what I'm saying? He's got a pretty good contract with the UFC, and he's just having fun. He's going out there and defeating fighter after fighter, and he ain't tripping, bro. And he's making noise on the microphone, and I think that's great. He's got an outstanding channel, outstanding podcast. He's doing his thing, bro. He reminds me of that point in time before Cowboy Cerrone got washed, where Cowboy was making a hefty check because he was on a good contract with the UFC because he had been around forever, just like Renato Moicano, and he was going out there and just defeating everybody, and he wasn't worried about challenging for the championship. He was just going out there and having fun fights, but he was just beating everybody because it was just, there was nothing to lose. And so he was just on a run until he started talking like he wanted to go challenge for the championship. That's when he started to fall off. I think Money Moicano easily gets the win over Beneil Dariush. Moving on, we got Kevin Holland stepping in there against Renner de Ridder. Maybe it's Henner de Ridder. Either way, de Ridder's going to go out there and get the win. As I alluded to at the top of this episode, Kevin Holland's at that point in his career, he's already made a ton of money. He's already kind of become a household name in the UFC. He's not worried about ever challenging for a championship. I think he knows he'll never, ever challenge for a championship in the UFC. I think essentially these fights, he goes out there. I think he's on a really good contract with the UFC, and he's already made a ton of money, especially off of bonuses, taking short notice fights and making that little extra backroom bonus, that backroom money. Taking those short notice fights, bro. Kevin Holland, I think at this point, he just signs fights, right? And if he goes out there in the beginning of the fight, he starts to piece a guy up on the feet, he's like, okay, I'll stick with this. But if it starts looking bad and the guy wants to take him down and grapple him and do all of this, I think Kevin Holland looks for a way out of a fight. And then goes and cashes his check, goes on, buys the finest smoke that you can buy, gets him another old school that looks sweet on some sort of, some nice shoes, some nice wheels, and he continues to live his life. So I got de Ridder to go out there and get the win. I'm not going to go over every fight on this card, just a few fights I really want to see. Peyton Talbot, I'm always down to watch him fight. He's stepping in the octagon with Hanoni Barcelos. I got Peyton Talbot. I just want to see. I feel like he's definitely a shoe-in to win. I just want to see how. So I got Peyton Talbot to go out there and get the win. Jelton Almeida making his return against Sergey Spivak. I got Jelton Almeida to get the win. I just want to see how he's going to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm solid that he's going to win. I just want to see how he's going to do it. So that's something I got my eye on. Outside of that, another random fight I got my eye on, Grant Dawson versus Diego Ferreira. I actually got Diego Ferreira in this. I know he's not the favorite. I know Grant Dawson is the favorite. But I feel like Grant Dawson's wheelhouse is one way or the other. I need to get you down to the ground. And I'm going to apply my top pressure. I'm going to land some nice ground and pound, ground strikes, ground elbows, all of that. You know, Grant Dawson does all right on the feet, but basically his stand-up is there to get you to the ground. Well, bro, you're getting ready to step in there with, Diego Ferreira. And I think Ferreira, you're not... Look, bro, if you think you're getting ready to hold Ferreira down and then, land your ground and pound and try to control him on the ground and maybe move into a submission, that's not going to happen. Ferreira is an excellent scrambler, excellent BJJ practitioner. I think once Grant Dawson gets it to the ground, he's in a world of trouble. I think he's in a world of trouble, and I'm not sure if his stand-up is good enough to knock out or defeat Ferreira on the feet. So I got Ferreira to go out there and get the win. But man, that's really about all the fights I really wanted to talk about on this card. So, it's going down this Saturday, UFC 311. Can't wait to see it. The UFC's first big pay-per-view of the year. So we're going to see how this goes down. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know who you got winning in the co-main event. I'm going to be reading the comments because I need to know when I'm making my choices, my bets on DraftKings. Please let me know what you think is going to go down the main event. Is there anybody out there that's predicting Tsarukyan to go out there and get the win? Please let me know. Please like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate all the love here lately. And once again, I do want to thank everyone for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.